Got a couple of different things I want to talk about. Actually, several things. Getting you prepared before you have to speak in front of someone else, whether it be to one other person or a large group of people. It can be anybody: customers, colleagues, employees, your boss. So there are a number of different instances where you're going to find yourself having to speak. And if you have a fear or you have anxiety that builds up before that happens, I've got a few ideas which we're going to talk about that will help you get prepared and get your mindset to where you can do this without having all that anxiety build up. I've worked in television for over 30 years. There were times anxiety built up, especially early on as I was learning how to become a better broadcaster. And a lot of times it's just trial by fire when you're talking on television, radio. You just have to kind of do it, and that's the key. Over time, though, once you do it enough, you start to build up that resistance of being afraid or resistance of anxiety, because you start to realize, I can do this. I've done it before. It worked out fine. I think I can do this a little more often and not let it get to me completely. You know, mindset is a very important part of doing a presentation or speaking. Even approaching your job, your mindset it's crucial. A lot of times we talk about, I got up this morning, had a cup of coffee, tried to get my brain running, I was foggy, whatever. Well, this is where you get to start to work on getting focused, having an idea of where you're headed. Get your mindset right. And what are your goals for the day? That will help you get your mindset in a place that will be productive for the day or for that speech, whatever it may be. Now, how do you win over those people that you're talking to? Well, you've already got your mind in a place that's good. You're already prepared with what goals you have, what you want to get across to them. And then you work on how do you win them over? And the key to that has always been you relay information that they want. You have information that they need or want. That's what you're going to be giving them. That should be your goal. When they leave or you're done talking, they are more prepared for what knowledge you gave them, whether it be for your job or for anything for that matter. You know, tricks to getting through this a lot of times are finding good common ground with someone. And what do I mean by that? A lot of times, if you can connect with that person in some way, shape, or form early on, that really does help. That makes a big difference as far as them feeling comfortable with you. Because in a lot of cases, you're going to be speaking with someone that you don't know, or you don't know much about them. And they don't know much about you other than what maybe you've told them, what they've been told, whatever they read about. So if you can find a common ground with them, that is a great starting point. That opens up some doors because all of us naturally actually have a barrier around us, a guard, a wall up. And it's just something that we're instinctively designed to have inside of us. Many of us struggle with that, and that's what I'm helping you to tear down. Not saying let all the enemy in or anything like that. I'm just saying let those barriers down. You can always put them back up if you need, but I'm talking about releasing a little bit of that tension, that fear, that anxiety by lowering those walls. If you can do that, whoever you're talking to will start to do that as well. And by finding something you relate to with them helps a lot. That helps lower those walls a little quicker. And you're not as on guard, nor are they. So you have something in common to talk about. What knowledge can you give this person? Now, see, I'm coming from a different approach from what you're probably used to seeing on videos or reading material about speaking to other people. I'm wanting you to come in from it from a cerebral point. I want your mind in the right place And then your heart will release whatever you need to get across. Sometimes knowledge, or at least your brain, but your heart's involved in it as well. So you've got to ask yourself, what knowledge do I want to give them? And what's the most important part of this knowledge? That's where you start to realize, I'm connecting with another person. I'm sharing with them. It's almost like you have a pathway between the two of you. Now, if it's not just one person and it's 10,000, you still have that mindset that you're connecting to one person. That gives it much more of a personal feeling, much more of a heartfelt transfer of what you want them to know. And there are going to be a lot of people in a big audience at times that maybe aren't paying attention, maybe you're drifting off, whatever. But if you're focusing on just concentrating on 1 to maybe 3 or 4 people, that really helps to get you and them in a place to where there's a transfer back and forth. Those walls are down. Some people like to start off with a joke, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I had some one-liners I would throw out on a regular basis when I spoke publicly. But be careful of that. Jokes are very tricky. It's very black and white. There's not much gray when it comes to jokes or politics, anything like that. Try to stay away from those. I'm only 5'8", so people would see me on TV, and when you see someone on TV or in a movie, you think, well, he's like 6'2". That's a big guy. And I was the same way. And then I would meet some of these actors and these stars and all, and I go, man, I really thought you'd be taller. Well, I got that too. So my first line out of the gate would be, how many of you thought I would be taller? A lot of people start to raise their hand. Okay, I've connected with them. See what I'm saying? I'm letting them in to me. So I make the comment, how many of you thought I'd be taller? Okay, I can communicate with him already. I can connect to him. I'm going to raise my hand because I did. I really thought he would be taller. After that line, and I get everybody to raise their hand, I would say, me too. Like, I thought I would be taller. Usually got a pretty good little chuckle out of it. Relaxed everybody a little bit. Gave me a chance to smile, be a little more myself, and helped relax me. I know that there are a number of times that many of us speak to other people, and we're fine. We don't have any real problems, any barriers we have to get past, especially in a world where you are a CEO or somebody is a manager over other people, and you have to have that confidence and be a little more authoritative, then you don't have anxiety. But once you have to present, speak, meet someone new, it starts to build up a little bit. Even though you're confident, you have a little bit of that inside. So know what knowledge you're going to give to people. Have it already as your goal, have it set, and just get right into it. You've already built a connection. Start to put it out there. Beginning, middle, and end. If you can remember those 3 things, and I've said that for years, those 3 things are actually, they are the framework of your whole presentation. And it's like an outline, and that's really the beginning, the middle, meat of the story, and then the end where you wrap it up. So have 3 different things that you can go off of. An outline is great, but there will be times that you maybe don't want to have to sit and go over an outline and sit there and like read off of a piece of paper. But that's okay to do that too. But there will be times where you just have to generally talk to them. And then when you're presenting, how eager are you going to be? If you get up there and you're not making eye contact, and you're looking off, and you don't want to really say a whole lot, and you're saying things that you know that you need to say, and that's it. And you can see right there, that really is just that doesn't work. You as a viewer right now, you're sitting there going, the guy's looking down, he's looking across, he won't look at me in the eye, what is going on? People spend more time trying to figure out what's going on with you than they are listening to what you have to say. So be eager to share information. And being eager means you're actually making a connection, looking people in the eyes, keeping your head up. Doesn't mean you have to walk around like I'm up here and you're not. But this is confidence. And when people feel like you're confident and they can trust you, then the information that you're giving them, the knowledge you're sharing, is believable. It's okay, it's legit. This guy knows what he's talking about. This woman knows what she's talking about. It's much easier to transfer that knowledge and information to other people if you present it well. It's not easy to do right out of the gate, but that's where you can practice. And I tell people all the time, I would practice in the car. I would, even if I was going to speak somewhere and I'd already been in my career 25 years, I would take time in the car and I would go over a few things, work on how I presented it, how I said it, how my range and my voice was set up. Was I being able to go up and then be able to come back down and then go back up again? Because that's much more conversational. And when you're more conversational, it is another way to help people to release their anxiety or their wall that they try to keep from letting other people come in. So practice it. It's okay to do it even in front of a mirror. If somebody walks up on you and you're practicing, so what? You're about to talk to other people and say the same thing. Don't let it get in your head and go, oh, I'm embarrassed. Don't worry about that. You're about to communicate with other people, and you're just fine-tuning your craft of what you're about to do, your knowledge. You're about to share some really important knowledge to other people. You're going to make that connection. Be eager. Be content with it. There would be times I'm driving down I-65 near Birmingham, Alabama, going, you know what? I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to discuss today. I would just go through things. I'd just practice it. That makes it a lot easier, and it gives you a little more of a confidence when you're going out to speak with someone. And remember, this is probably one of the most important things. And I talk about these in different videos that I'm putting out for you, is you got to keep things simple. Okay? Simple sells. If you get too complex or you get too deep, then you start to lose people very quickly. I have been at conferences before. I went to one in Los Angeles one time and was in the back. Had a colleague of mine that worked in the same business and from the same town. I was sitting with him or right next to him, and we shared our, hey man, it's good to see you type of thing. And we were watching the presentation, and it became so drawn out and thorough and had data and numbers for meteorologists, and it just was going on, and the media was page after page after page after page, and it eventually got to where, I hate to say this, but eventually got to where he and I were talking about flying airplanes, because he's a pilot, I'm a pilot. And we're back there having this discussion. We're in the back. We're not being completely rude. But they lost, this speaker lost us in a lot of the room, because it just became so monotonous and then going over the media, because that person was leaning on the media and the data as the crutch, as their presentation. They weren't engaging with us. They were engaging with the material that was up on the screen. So that's why you'll hear me say this a number of times, especially for those of you that I'm coaching and working with one-on-one. You have to remember, if you keep it simple, people absorb it, especially in today's time, because their wheels are turning fast. Everything in our world is quick, quick, quick. So you've only got a window to work with. You need to stay within that window or that envelope, not get lost. Doesn't mean that you cut out information that you need to relay, try to condense it or try to hit the key points, the stuff that is important. And if you can do that, that gives you a chance to talk about that media that may be up on a big jumbotron by you or whatever screen behind you. You can still do that, but if you can turn and engage, and there's not a bunch of things up there on the screen, you're going to reach people. So if you can keep it simple, simple sells. I'm telling you, it's simple sells. That should be something that you have tattooed on an arm somewhere. Probably not a tattoo, but you get the idea. I have seen so many times where you try to do too much or you don't engage, you lose them. And if you're trying to make a big sale, you're trying to get a company to understand where you're headed, you're trying to sell your company to a company buying you, and you want to be able to connect with them. So that is so important. So remember, you've got to have goals, you've got to have knowledge, share that knowledge, and then certainly focus on relaying that and getting it across to them. Hey, if you have any questions, be sure to drop me an email. I'll be glad to talk with you. And for those of you I'm already working with right now, I look forward to continuing our work, and I'll have more coming up later into the week as far as information for the next blog posting. And I look forward to talking to all of you then. Thanks so much for joining me.